love that suit, by the way. It's my favorite one.
Okay, we're live.
Okay, we are back again. Number 4. We have a different venue. We're here in Das Ratskeller. Is that the proper?
The rat.
The Rat. We call it the Rat. It's just easier. And for the longest time, I thought it was R-A-T-T, but it's R-A-T-H-S-K-E-L-L-E-R. Good thing it's right there in front of me because I don't know how to spell it without it. We also have a special guest with us, Tressa Swanson. She is our student government president. We thought it would be a good opportunity to have a student come here and talk a little bit about her experience here on campus through her time here, and then as well as her time as SGA president in student government, and then also the dealings of COVID-19 and how it is affecting her as a student. So I guess we could start off with what got you really here to Wheeling University first?
So my high school was a Jesuit-based high school, and I really enjoyed that. And then I really value education. It's something that I've always valued in life. Nobody can ever take education away from you. I wanted to go somewhere with a strong nursing program and somewhere that I could definitely branch out and be my own person. And this was a nice, cozy little campus for me, and everything just hit the right marks.
And you're a senior, right?
Yes.
So 4 years here.
Yep. Long 4 years.
So both Father McCouch and Father Hottie are with us, and I think you just instantly became their favorite student. Healthcare and, coming from a Jesuit-based education in high school.
Yes.
So what kind of got you started in student government?
I've always liked to be involved in stuff, and I've always liked to get my ideas out there and try to make everything the best I can. It's definitely exciting to me as a student to be able to have a hand in different things and get my opinion out there and help other students.
So tell us a little about the structure of how student government is. Senate, e-board, how's it all laid out?
E-board, we have our little crew that gets together every week. We have our little weekly meeting. We go through what events are going to
I
happen.
wasn't invited. Are you having parties without us?
We'll be
Thursday
the next
nights. But yeah, we get together every week. We go over what events need to happen, we go over old business, new business. We see what needs improvement. And we just kind of like have a free-for-all talk, get our ideas out there. And then we just recently had our first Senate meeting last night. So we're getting all the new faces on board to get them ready for their ideas for their classes. I like it. It's going really smoothly this year. We have a lot of intelligent people.
Mm-hmm. What made you want to take the plunge and go for president?
I can definitely be a control freak. I'm going to put that right out there.
It is okay.
Yes.
Yes. Company.
I could be a perfectionist too.
Enough
so.
of that, Kel. No shaking of the
I'm
head. I feel like, what? Did we?
I never knew that.
No. But yeah, I definitely, I know that I can be persuasive and get what needs to get done in a very nice way with a smile. But I think that I had good ideas, and I wanted to help get those out there, kind of help with the restructure of our school. This place means a lot to me, so anything that I can do to help get my plans out there, get other people's plans out there, give the students a voice, means a lot.
Yeah. How many Senate members are there?
You're really putting me on the spot. There's a few vacant positions right now, but they're slowly trickling in. So there's like 6 in each class. So
So you have it based on class, right?
Yes.
That's a Senate's based. Perfect.
yes, we have Senate space, we have class, and then we have a diversity person, a commuter person, and one other position. I'm blanking, but
It's okay.
And president, vice president, secretary, treasurer,
and 2 senators
and
at
2
large.
senators at large.
Yes.
Perfect.
That is actually fascinating. I've always believed that college, other than the fact that you have an opportunity to, to acquire an education, it's where you really start to become who you are, going to be, and as an adult. And, the fact that you have these opportunities to get involved with student government gives you a voice on campus. And I think, for me personally, I spent my entire professional life in politics, and it's having a voice and having a voice that helps others. And I love hearing you say that because, I think that's reflective of government itself, but I also think it helps, serve our mission,
Yeah.
that you're doing that. And I think that perhaps some kids don't know how to get involved. Or how did you get where you're at, which is why, we wanted to have this conversation, because I think there are a lot of people who want to make a difference and, think they can make a difference, they just don't know how to get to you, so.
I'm usually a smiling face on campus. I hope I look approachable sometimes if I'm in a mood.
But you're around campus a lot. You're in our office in student services, and student government does have an office in Acker.
Yes.
On the lower level.
Yes.
So that's there. You also have an email address that students can reach out to you and all that kind of stuff. So how do you think coming to campus this semester, like what was your thought process when you were finding out that we were doing online or in-person classes?
So I personally was very, very excited. I am definitely an in-person learner. It was something that I was excited for, but also a little nervous. I didn't know how it was going to go. But comparatively to other schools that especially my friends go to as well, we're doing a lot better. And it's easier because we're a little bit of a smaller campus, but I definitely feel comfortable. I feel like we're doing enough. And it's exciting to be able to actually spend my last year of college in college opposed to at home on my computer. So I appreciate it.
So that brings up a good point. So what was your feelings towards the end of last semester when we had to go online, and where were you at in that?
It was definitely emotional. I had to leave some of my best friends, and they were seniors, so it was kind of our last.
And so quickly.
Yes,
just
it was
so
very.
quickly. Even though, what was it, a Wednesday that we made the decision, and we did until Sunday at 5.
Yeah.
And it just was still not having that opportunity to have those long goodbyes. Or even have
Absolutely.
those goodbyes, because you were still in class, and then you had to move out. It was awful. I know. We wept too.
Yeah.
We did. It was really hard on all of us.
Yeah, it was definitely tough, but finishing out the semester wasn't too terrible. It was definitely something that was awkward because my study habits, I usually meet up with a group of my friends. We go over our questions. We play off each other, go back and forth with questions, write everything out, which it was a little awkward getting everybody to FaceTime at the same time and different things like that. But it wasn't terrible. It was the best that we could have done in the circumstance.
What role do you think student government leadership plays in going through this COVID currently in our semester?
I think that definitely student government is the face of the students on campus. Our role, especially with putting on events, is making sure that they're safe enough to have. We have proper social distancing. We're going through extra procedures to make sure everything's safe. And we're kind of setting the bar for how everybody else on campus should be acting towards COVID. I know I'm wearing masks everywhere I go. At events, I'm making sure everything is going as smooth as possible with keeping those parameters in place. So.
And as student government leader, are you comfortable going up to students and just saying, hey, make sure your mask's on, or have you approached them? I don't want to put you on the spot, but that's what you're here for.
Personally, I haven't seen anybody without their mask
That's what we
on.
like to
Yeah.
hear. That's the
Yeah,
answer.
I think that's the thing that is amazing, and I keep saying that I'm amazed at how serious that our students have taken it upon themselves, and I think it's reflective of 5 months of being separated from your friends, and 5 months of, a lot of kids weren't able to get summer jobs, and, really didn't have anything to do, and being, quarantined to home, or, a lot of things were shut down for the longest time. And it's just that, I think that most of our student population just really, as you shared, genuinely appreciates the ability to be back here. And we've talked about this, that we can only be here as long as we continue to keep it safe, because, I shared with Andrew 3 or 4 days ago, Glenville State has 111 kids in quarantine. Yeah. And what was the other, was it Davis Elkins who said that had?
Someone said they had like 40 or 50.
Yeah. And of course we've had a couple, And it's just that, constantly staying vigilant about it, and it worries me. I don't sleep a lot to begin with, but I lose sleep worrying about what's going to be that moment that it kind of all breaks loose. And that's why we kind of had the conversation, let's bring you on so we can have conversations with our students about, are we getting comfortable? Are we getting too relaxed? Are we getting a little, because it's just one incident that could run it for all of us.
Absolutely.
And there have been little things that are being taken care of. But when the little things start adding up, that's when I start getting worried.
Yeah.
I think this needs to be a new symbol. No,
no.
I mean, what does this mean? It means,
Yeah.
pull up your mask, and you can kind of do that. And I think most of the adults, if they do see someone, and to be honest, we've had reports of staff or faculty not wearing their mask, and, we've had to deal with that because it's all of us, it's every last one of us. And we've taken a lot of precautions to the extent that it does mean everything to us that you are able to have, a normal academic year. We have prohibited any outside events on campus. And we talked about this a couple weeks ago, but I mean, we, generally we have conference services where outside entities can rent our facilities, and that generates revenue for the university. But that's not important to us. What's important to us is that you all get to be here and be safe. We've limited mass to just a campus, and we continue, on a daily basis. What about this? What about this? And we keep going back to no. We have to do everything we can possibly do every day to keep you all safe. With Thanksgiving as our marker, we've got to get through that, and we're about halfway to that point. And I'm just, I want to make sure that we're still staying safe, and that you and our students feel empowered, because that's where it's at. It's in all of our hands, but especially with the students, because a lot of times you all are spending time without anyone in your space in the dorms, and just making sure that we understand the theory that you are your brother's keeper, and that when we make bad decisions, we make them for everyone. But it has been very impressive, our students thus far.
Yeah, they have been doing really well, so kudos to you. And some more students that came in, kudos to all of you.
Hi, how are you guys?
And I think, what the president was kind of touching on is that we get to that almost halfway point. You feel comfortable. In any situation, you get comfortable, and you just think that things can be laxed. And in this situation is where we cannot be lax. We have to continue moving forward, and masks on, and social distancing, and hands washing, and our hand sanitizers and things like that. And I continue to bring up our Live Safe app. Hopefully our students are continuing to use that. We get reports. It hasn't been as regularly as we have been, but students can continually to anonymously post things, anonymously ask questions, and they don't even have to be COVID-related questions, really. They can be any question related to anything university-wise anonymously, and we'll do our best to answer it and get information out to them so that it's important for that it's communication. I think that's why we started this project, was to have our communication open. Students can ask questions, students can attend, and chat and watch afterwards to make sure they are getting all that kind of information out.
But one of the issues that we talked about this morning, we have weekly meetings too, President's Cabinet, senior leadership, and one of the conversations we had this morning was the fact that students are traveling. Now, so we talked about, formalizing what is our policy, because if students are traveling and they're leaving campus, they're supposed to notify the RAs, and then there are some ramifications. And I think as we get comfortable and we get bored, there's going to be more and more of that. So we
want to continue to encourage our students not to travel as hard as that is, because people do have things at home they have to get to, or people just get to that comfort of wanting to be at home and seeing family members. But we have to get to the point where we have to keep all 400 or so kids on campus safe, other kids in other classrooms safe. So travel was a concern and issue. So we're getting notified of students who are traveling through plane and things like that. So we have to bring them back to campus. We have to quarantine them. We ask that they get tested at a local healthcare facility, and then they bring a negative test back to us. We want to make sure that we're keeping everyone safe. And the nice thing, I don't know if it's a nice thing, but we've been really great with Aladdin and Malik Stewart and Residence Life and his staff on food delivery, making sure that everyone gets their food. If they need anything, we have coverage in the evenings. During the day, we're here. And Dr. McGlade in Academic Affairs is doing a really great job of making sure that all of the faculty members of those students who are in quarantine are notified. So really continuing that communication and making sure everyone's kind of on top of
So
everything.
the question is, did you know that? Did you know that if you decide, let's say, you're going to go home to Texas for the weekend, did you know that you have to quarantine when you get back?
I mean, that's kind of a no-brainer.
Yeah. Well, I'm
Pass it
wondering,
on.
so what does quarantine mean? What does that mean?
So
I'm
it
going to go to
depends.
Texas this weekend, and I'm going to be gone for 3 days.
Yeah.
What's my life going to look like when I return as a student?
Not as fun as it would have been
There
if
you
you didn't
go.
go to
This is
Texas.
the message that we want to convey. These are choices that we make.
Yeah, and we'll keep you in your
Yes.
room. And there are ramifications if you come out of your room and we find out students are reported. There will be ramifications. If students live in areas like McHugh or Campion where there's a common area bathroom, we will move them to an area with a private bath. So you're not going to essentially get the rest of the area germs and other concerns. If you're in a room with a private bath, you'll remain there. Unless you have a roommate, then you will be moved to another area. And Malik and his staff, again, have been placing people throughout. And our cleaning services staff have done a great job in making sure that we continually clean those rooms. Everyone that we've been having quarantined or been tested have all returned negative tests, so that's good. So we continue to go through that process. And when we get a positive test on campus, we'll follow a different protocol as far as cleaning goes, because it'll step up, heightened up, and then communication to faculty, staff, and students about about someone getting, having an active case, and what we've done to continue to move forward with that. So it's a lot. There's a lot that goes into it, and again, we really want to encourage students, let's just stay put. Let's just see if we can get to November, to Thanksgiving, and then it will be a nice, joyous welcoming with your family and friends. And I'm sure that there are some family that, I hate to say it, but don't want them traveling.
They don't,
You know what I mean? They want them to
because you're bringing
stay
something
put.
home as well.
Absolutely.
As Dr. Fauci, who also is Jesuit educated, actually said, it's time to hunker down, and get through the holidays. And I think that's probably an appropriate term to use. Is just hunker down. Let's stay on campus. Aladdin has really been accommodating. We kind of turned Starbucks into a quasi grocery store. So, there's bread, peanut butter, macaroni and cheese, ravioli, those types of things. So there's really no need to go off campus. And Campus Activities, Max, thanks for being here tonight, has done a great job of providing things to do. And that's important because, it's, you can't go anywhere and we don't want you going anywhere. We're trying to provide some unique things. I think there's something tonight.
Yeah, there's trivia tonight here.
Yeah.
And so that'll be great. I think 9, bedtime. But yeah, so we're doing things like that. Another thing you think about is DoorDash and there's other food delivery. I was literally walking to my car at the end of yesterday or someday, and someone didn't know where Iggy was because they were a DoorDash delivery person. I would have loved to have those kind of things way back in the day when I was in college, when we had no place to go or no food anywhere. So what kind of stuff is student government have planned this semester that you can share?
We have a few things that are in the works and that we're talking about. One project that we did want to get started was fixing up the fire pit down by the creek. That's a great area on our campus that we can definitely utilize for social distancing events. The first weekend on campus, we actually used that for a big bonfire for everybody, and I thought it turned out great. A ton of people came, everybody enjoyed their time together, they got to socialize while social distancing. Let me think about other events. Right now we have a scavenger hunt going on campus. I think you get like $50 flex. We're trying to do stuff
It's
that's
still winning. It's still $50.
Yeah.
yeah, we're trying to do things that get people involved and can have people also feeling comfortable with coming to events or doing different events. We recently had a video game night, and that was a blast. A ton of people showed up. Everybody loved it, and we got to wipe down the consoles in between everybody playing. But
And that's really great, and I'm glad that you said that, because that was organized by you, students, and you made sure that in between each game, the consoles were clean and the hand and all that was done. So kudos to you guys to making sure that students are holding other students responsible, and you're making sure that you're caring for others. So that's great, and we really like to hear those kind of things.
absolutely.
So, we belong to the West Virginia Independent School Association that kind of governs the smaller independent colleges. And our testing that we did at Student Move-In was, through that association, governed through the governor and paid for. And I found out last week, it was confirmed this week, and we have a Zoom meeting tomorrow. We're now going to be going into random testing. So 10% of our population will be randomly tested. We're not really sure of the particulars, but we're going to continue to see testing. And that's what really, is leading me to my concern is that, when we test, we run the risk of discovering that we are, that we have it, because even our 2 positives that we had back in August were asymptomatic, so we've really got to tighten, up our procedures and making sure that we're doing that because, I have a daughter who has not been feeling well. I'm like, you need to go get tested.
Yeah.
And she's like, I don't want to get tested because if I have it, then I won't be able to do this, this, and this. And she's actually in healthcare, and so they don't. It's kind of different for that. She still has to go to work and everything, which is just odd because there's not enough healthcare workers to actually take care of folks. But I think there's that concern that we don't want to know, but we are we're housing folks, and the governor has decided that we're going to be random testing 10% of our population through Andrew's office, through Nurse Judy. And so we'll start that, hopefully within, a week to 10 days. So that kind of gives me anxiety. I kind
Because
of,
you don't want to get picked?
I don't want to, well, I just worry about the folks that don't know they have it, because then, then there are things that have to take place.
Yes.
I worried about it all summer. I did.
Mhm.
I worried about it all summer. I chose not to go to a lot of things or go places because of my role here. I don't want to compromise the school. I don't want to compromise my ability to be here and to take care of things. And so we have to, I make choices. We all make choices. So I think it's just a consideration as we prepare for these tests. We've got to realize that are we doing things that could put us at risk that when we're tested, render you being quarantined for 2 weeks in your room, which is certainly no fun.
Yes.
And I think we run into, if we get students who end up testing positive, like we did, is encourage them, if they can, to go home, so that they can quarantine at home in their, their area. And again, it's like kind of almost contradicting what I just said a few minutes ago about going home and kind of bringing something there. But, we have to think about the 400 or 500 people that we have here on campus. But if a student can't go home, we have the ability to quarantine them here, and we will continue to work through that. And Kelly brought up a very interesting question. Somebody brought up a very interesting question.
Executive producer Kelly.
How does quarantine work with those students who have service animals and need to leave their room to take the animal out?
Ooh,
That is
I don't know if we have an answer to that.
Malik the dog walker. So we in student services would coordinate and work through that process.
Because we've not confirmed that it cannot be transferred by animals. There was, the lion, and it was at the Bronx Zoo that had coronavirus.
So that's a really good question.
So I'm thinking that Malik doesn't want to walk anybody's dog.
I will have to find more out for that. Yeah, I don't know if I never thought of it, but something like you don't think about until it's brought to you. So it's definitely something that we'll look into and make sure that we have a plan in place. We do have a lot of service comfort animals here on campus, and we continue to work with those students on any issues or concerns. So that's one that we'll definitely look into tomorrow to make sure that we know how to proceed with that. So, sorry.
No, please
Ask
go
away.
ahead. Your hair looks wonderful today, by the way. Do you know his sister's a hairdresser?
Really?
I need a haircut too. I have to give her a call after this. Although I try to text her and she doesn't text me back, so it's like
Typical sisters.
typical sister.
Yeah, I know.
We shared 9 months in the womb and I can't get a
Twin
text
sister.
back.
Twin.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I got all the brains and beauty and she's just kind of leftovers.
She's beautiful.
Oddly enough, she always tells me that I'm the leftover, so she's not here to defend herself, so she's
Cutest little
leftover.
thing. She's blonde.
Yeah, she's a good one.
Yeah.
I'll keep her around. So what kind of homecoming activities do you foresee? Are we going to have a homecoming court?
That's something that we haven't talked about yet. That's something that we definitely will talk about at our
Yes.
meeting tomorrow. But it's just going to be different, trying to coordinate different events for homecoming, especially football team not having a season right now. That's something that was definitely a big deal last year.
Yeah.
The homecoming game, we had cornhole. We had a ton of stuff going on last year. But this year we're just going to have to figure out what's the best way to approach it. What we also have to listen to what the students want, because they might be like, I don't really care about it this year. I'd rather do X, Y, and Z instead. So it's a mixture of listening to the students and figuring out what's the best way to approach the situation.
Definitely think that it's in your hands. I think it was great last year. Everything was executed really well. We had a really good time. We went to the dance at Ogilby as well. And again, kudos to SGA last year and all of the work that they did to that and put it together. So it was a really good event, and we would love to see a homecoming court. And I think it brought something different to campus, since we really didn't have that before. And again, you bring up a good point. It was the football hyped it up.
Yeah.
So who knows what we can maybe put something in place of that, or how we can kind of approach that. But
I think it's important to continue having those milestones, those traditions in place, because it's still, as we were talking earlier today, it's still someone's senior year, it's still your senior year, it's still, someone's freshman year, and it, that's one of the things that I've personally been committed to, is giving our students, as close to a normal college experience as possible. I'm at the time when we were doing it, we were so committed to doing it with our, our in-person socially distanced commencement, baccalaureate mass, and convocation. You did a fabulous job at our
Thank you.
convocation. It really was.
you.
And I hope you enjoyed that as much as we did, but, it's just that determination that, we're going to continue living as close to normal as possible, because at some point it's going to be someone's memories, and I don't want anyone to leave here feel like that this ruined their lives. And I think that we've kind of been a little bit avant-garde in the way that we've approached it, when we do everything safely. But we were probably the only university in the area that actually did commencement. Everyone else did them
I think
virtually.
they did a lot virtually, and some pushed them back, pushed them back.
So what is interesting is, because you weren't on student government last year,
No, I was part of Senate though.
so I actually put together a Zoom meeting, and they were the ones that I said, what do you think about an outdoor socially distanced? And they're like, yes, whatever the question is, the answer is yes. And really were involved in making that decision. And it was really, for me, it was about what was important to them. And I think that in the end, other than Chelsea Ward got sick during commencement. Did you know that?
Only one.
Did you
No
know
offense to
that?
Chelsea. Love Chelsea. She's great. I'm sitting there. I'm like, all right, we got here. We sit down. Before we even sat down, before we even started, there's Chelsea. I'm like, oh my gosh. She
Yeah, I
hunched
saw her
over.
walk off. I was like, what's going on?
I talked to her
know,
afterwards. I
yeah.
think she said just the excitement of everything and going through that process. And God
But I
love her.
said to them afterwards, I said, was it what you wanted it to be? And they said, everything. Brianna Grimes, our girl Brianna, that's how we referred to Brianna. And that's important. It's important to us. So, we can work through almost anything. I mean, we can still do some semblance of homecoming. We can do, a
Virtually,
dance.
a lot of
We can
stuff.
do a dance in McDonough, as long as it's socially distanced, kind of like the 60s.
Can I be there with a roller to make sure everyone's 6 feet apart when they dance?
Yes.
Like 7th grade dances where you're like this? Like all the boys are on one side, all the girls on one side, you're like this the whole time?
I will say at the events, bingo on the deck, mask. What was here last week or the week before? Was it the video
I think it
games?
was trivia.
Okay, mask. So it can work, and I think that's the thing, is just recognizing that it's a constant effort.
And we continue to to learn, and we continue to adapt and change. And I think that's the whole premise behind this semester, is just adaptation and change, and how we can move forward and do things the best we can, and to make sure that the students' wants and needs are really at the forefront. Because, like we've always said, we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the students, to make sure that they're happy and making sure that we're getting everything for them.
So, we're making history. This is like nothing else that's ever transpired, in the history of this country. But we're also making history because this is transpiring during a presidential election year. The death of Ruth Bader Ginsburg is also setting history. I actually asked Andrew today if a presidential debate watching party could be held, because I think those are important issues, to watch, how they perceive it. There's been a lot of criticism that this is being used politically, and I hope that's not the case, because we're changing lives. But I also think it's interesting, because I'm going to circle back around to what you started off with. If you know the story, and I've been listening to podcasts, how many people listen to podcasts in the car? Because
Audiobooks.
I love podcasts, and I've been listening to the life of Ruth Bader Ginsburg. And she wasn't this activist. She wasn't this activist in high school. She wasn't an activist in undergraduate or in law school. It was kind of as her life evolved. And I was thinking, as I was listening to these things that kept transpiring, and her reaction to it, being a female in a very male-dominated law school class, and then as she started in her professional life, how those experiences shaped her. So it'll be interesting to watch how this shapes all of you differently than a regular college experience would, because you're having things that happen to you, and a lot of them are decisions that are being made politically. We are the recipient of a lot of those decisions. Last year, when we sent the students home, we didn't really have a choice. Right now, with a lot of the sports events being canceled, the NCAA made a decision that really rendered us helpless in our ability to play, and so we're at the mercy of a lot of decisions. And so I share that with you because don't just receive it. Reflect on, how do I respond to what's happening in my life, and what in 10 years am I going to look back? Because when you look at the life of a Ruth Bader Ginsburg and how she responded and how she became, it's fascinating. She actually made her mark in dissents. When she was left as the only woman, she became the fiery descendant, and that really changed. She found her voice. So it's an interesting time for our students.
Yeah, and it's an interesting election, as any election is, but there's a lot, I feel, more at stake, and we don't necessarily want to get into politics, because I think there's always certain things you shouldn't talk about with friends: politics, religion, and money.
Yes.
But we will be having a presidential debate watch party here. We'll have some snacks, so you always got to have food. We always got to have food.
Naturally.
Bring the kids in.
That's true. Bring the food.
Yeah,
And,
free food.
we want it to be, and Max and I talked about this afternoon, we want it to be an environment of openness and understanding. I think there's a lot of people who are very passionate about their politics on one side or the other. And there are a time for debate and there's a time for argument. But we really want to be able to host an event where everyone comes to an understanding that we're here to express our opinions in a way to be united in a sense, so we're not yelling at one another, but we're also being encouraging of each other's political views. And I think that as a college and as younger people, it's good to start getting into the understanding of politics, so you know who you're voting for and why you're voting for them. Not just support a candidate for
And that we're
one
all
thing.
voting.
And
Yes.
voting, yes.
Yes.
Which is also what we're planning on doing some events with voter registration tomorrow in the computer lab. Do you want to talk about that? You've got that, or is that CAB?
No, it is SGA, but Preston Kolpa is actually
Yes.
heading that, so that's one of his own little ventures. Like the video game event was hosted by our VP, Chris Pugh. But that's just something that him and Max are really.
So what is going on?
So they're having voter registration in the computer lab,
Wonderful.
so that
Yes.
students can kind of get there and make sure that they understand make sure they're registered to vote. And I will say, as social media is positive and negative, but it seems that social media are reminding people to make sure that they're registered to vote and make sure you know your polling place and you know, understand all of that, which is the positive of social media, I think, is that people understand that. But again, we want to have that dialogue in a sense of politics, but also making sure that everyone is understanding of one another. We don't want big
Are you saying
arguments.
that everything about politics is argument?
I know
No,
that- I
think
mean-
it's just, for me, it's about recognizing that your vote matters.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
It's
Yes.
about being informed. It's about listening. It's about having your own morals, your own sense of values, and voting with that. You know, I think that it's, for me, I think it's about that. It's a type of education that we all need. It's, you know, it's not about being political, but it's about continuing to be educated. We talk about educating the entire person, and that's part of the person, is the fact that you are responsible. You have this gift, if you will. You have, you know, the right to vote. You have the right to a choice. It's about the opportunity to express that and you know, what that entails, you know, and that choosing to vote, you know what I mean, reflects those changes on your lives. And it's important. You know, I've been lecturing my kids, you know, that they are required to vote, you know, that it's something that moves this country, and it's made a lot of decisions. It'll continue to make a lot of decisions, you know, and being involved. And I love that you're willing to do that. I love that they're willing to, I love the snacks.
You gotta have
too.
snacks.
Okay.
I mean, I might come down for snacks.
Yes.
But I think we're in a different time too. It wasn't, you know, for me when I was in undergrad, it wasn't around as much, I think. Like, there wasn't this big push. So I'm glad that we are in a current time where we're pushing younger people to understand what voting means and the importance of it and finding their political footing in a sense, so they understand, you know, what they're voting for. Because, I mean, I hate to admit it, but my mom was on the school board and my dad was a Meade Township trustee. Both had to be voted in, and I didn't vote, which is horrible to say, because I just wasn't understanding. I mean, they're small, you know, like nothing big, but until I got a little older and really understood what it meant and the purpose of it, you know what I mean, in a sense. So I'm glad that it's kind of, we're making it known more on campus, and hopefully the student government can kind of push it through too.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's very important that our generation is starting to vote and get into it a little bit more. And I mean, social media, I'm not gonna lie, I did register to vote through Snapchat.
Yeah,
It
which
showed
is
up-
great.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it showed up, and I needed to update my information because we moved, and I just thought it was like kind of funny. Like, I get on Snapchat to like send pictures to my like sister or my friends, and registered to vote. But
Yeah.
it is being pushed really hard on social media, which I think is important because a lot of people, especially my age, they're like, I don't really like know about it. I don't really think about it, and there's just a giant push, and it's a great way to reach out to our generation to get involved in that.
So the next step is remembering to request an absentee ballot,
Yes.
because you're not going to go home, because you have to be quarantined.
Yes.
Great point.
Yes.
Perfect, which Max just
Yes.
told us it's part of tomorrow's program,
wonderful.
absentee ballots,
Yeah.
which is great to make sure that we're getting that. And I also want to touch on this, is that you brought up a good point, is that each of your members are kind of highlighting their creative side. You know, Preston wants to do something on voting, Chris wanted to do something on gaming, because that's like their interest. So it's really
Absolutely.
great that they, as a student, they're able to kind of put on events that are of interest to them. And really, any student has that ability, whether they come to student government or they come to campus activities board or to Max or to our office in student services. If they want to have an underwater basket weaving
You know,
party,
that's-
they can.
I've never really got that. I've been hearing that phrase since I was an undergrad. I mean, there really
So have I,
isn't-
that's why I say
There really
it.
isn't underwater basket
We can
weaving.
start one,
Okay,
if you want
so
to.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
4 years, this university has had a lot of turmoil, a lot of changes.
Yes.
Walk me through the changes in your mind. This in itself is a change. Last year it was closed, and now it's,
Yeah.
you know, we're on the, you know, we're open again. And, you know, so from your freshman year to your senior year, what have you seen? What profound difference internally and in a society?
So I would say my class especially have been put through the ringer. I feel like every year there's been something different that's come up. Freshman year, came on campus, obviously. I loved it. I stayed. I fell in love with the place even more because you really make a family on campus. You never think about it, but it's so close-knit here, and everybody is here for a good reason and the right reason. And their journey in life is definitely being nourished here by our professors and all the faculty and staff. Sophomore year, little rocky, not gonna lie. That's when we went into financial exigency and we had just a crazy time. A lot of my friends had left the school. I lost a lot of my little family, but as a school, the people that still did stay, we were still going strong, still here for our education. We all value that. And then my junior year last year, other than COVID, it was going by really smoothly. I mean, kudos to you,
Aw.
genuinely.
Thank you.
Because there's always been like that rocky little like shadow in the back where it's like, ever since my freshman year, people were like, oh, the president's an idiot, the president's an idiot. Seriously, and everything was done behind closed doors and nobody knew what was going on. Like with financial exigency, everybody's like, what the heck are we doing? And then we show up to a meeting and they're like, hey, we're gonna
Surprise.
close down maybe, and everybody starts freaking out. And I mean, especially this year, I know that I appreciate, and I'm sure a lot of other students appreciate you having these meetings and being so transparent and really being in the loop of things and sending out your weekly emails. I mean, my aunt at home, she reads them and she likes to stay updated with what's going on here.
You're gonna make me cry.
Oh, no, it's
Go
something
ahead.
that's really
No,
great.
It really means
Seriously.
a lot to me. It does.
No, your touch on campus has definitely been like felt and heard by everybody because it makes a difference when there's a strong leader that actually cares about the students and not just the institution itself. But I believe that now with going through all the changes from losing Jesuit affiliation and everything like that, it definitely rocked the world for a minute. But I feel very comfortable with it being on the up and up, especially with the team that we have here and everybody that cares so much about the university. It's a great place still. It's a different place than what I came to, but it's still a great place. So it's something that I'll appreciate. Even though it was a crazy time, crazy 4 years in college, I definitely appreciate everything that I've had to go through to get here
Those
today.
were dark days. I
Oh,
mean, I was,
absolutely.
I remember that. I remember being confused. I was a board member. I was also a parent of a student. And I did not know a lot of things either.
Yeah.
There was, very confusing meetings, where there was not clear information given. And, there was talk of closing down the university, and it didn't make any sense to me.
None.
And I've said this countless times. There's something very, very special about this place. It's almost, it is hard to find words to it. It's spiritual, and it exists, and it's real, and it grasps hold of you. The alumni from the very first class to last year's class love this place in a way. I'm not an alumni, but I recognize it, and it gets me. And I remember standing in the president's window and looking out the window, and this talk of closing, and I just kept watching, and I'm, but what about the kids? What about the kids? And just that it has its own soul. It really genuinely has its own soul, and it's almost magical. And it just needs to be cultivated. And it's amazing how the ship has turned, because that's what happens. Right is right, and what's wrong is wrong, and will always be that way. And when good people work together for a common goal, these are the kind of things that happen. But I go back to them being here. They've never left. Our Jesuit priests have always been here. They are our heart and soul of this institution. They are here at almost every event. They're holding mass again. They've never left. And I told them last year, I felt bad because it's almost like they're invisible, because I'm like, no, they're still here. Although it's been subtracted from our name, they're still here. They're still a part of what we do. And even with our strategic plan, we made sure to bleed that back into things, because I've said, my mom always used to say, you can't know where you're going if you don't know where you came from. And I refuse to give up our Jesuit past. I refuse to give that up. We're going to live as exactly who we are right now, and that is, an institution that was for all the years that we've been in existence, 66 years, Kelly? 66 years? Hey, Kelly.
You been here that long?
Feels like it.
I'm a little offended by that comment. We've been Jesuit, and we still are. You just can't take that away from this university. But I love hearing someone who stuck it out. And that's one of the reasons that we work so hard to keep things as close to normal, is because we appreciate it, and that's something I hope you're learning. Is that loyalty is important. People can be flighty, people can be dishonest, but those that are loyal, I believe you reap what you sow. I believe that good things come to people who believe in doing what's right, and I hope this university is teaching that to those of you who stayed. It's important. I think who you are matters, and who you are taught how to be matters, and that's what's important to me and to senior leadership.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad I'm
And the
here.
snacks.
And the snacks. Which, I'm just going to say, we don't have any at our meetings. So
We don't. I don't feed them. I don't. So.
maybe, I will say that when we had them now we have them, we used to have them in the president's office. There's a conference room there, and we used to have it there. But now we want to be socially distant, so we have it in a different area. But when we did have it there was mints on the table, and maybe some butterscotches. So maybe we could bring those back down to there for next Wednesday.
Yeah.
I'll bring my own, maybe. I won't share it.
So we actually sit in a circle, in an empty room, in a circle, socially distanced. I mean, we live it. We do. We practice what we preach. No pun intended. But it is, it is that we go all the way to the lower level and the CET building, and we sit in a socially distanced circle, and so I think that I love the fact that you said earlier that we're doing things right, better than some other institutions. And I've heard that from other kids that have come here and not been allowed to go into the dorms. We're taking it serious, and I preface everything with, can I look a parent in the face and say, we're keeping your kids safe? And we talked about that this morning with things changing. Are we doing everything right now that if something, if we were to have 111 students tomorrow that needed to be quarantined, could we look at one another and say, we did everything we could. This just happened, and that's why we constantly reevaluate. 3 weeks ago, we talked about being fluid. You know what I mean? And here we are again, making some adjustments.
Right, and we do, and we email a lot back and forth after hours, because it's when things we think. You're sitting home and you're like, oh, wait a second, let me just real quickly, or text or call. And we do that. We always have to be on our toes and thinking what's going to come next, and we can't predict what it is because we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. We don't know what's going to happen in an hour. But and I probably said that before, sitting here. But we continue to think different ways to add additional protections to keep everyone safe. So, like, if you see maybe more tables being removed from the B room, then we're doing it for a reason. If we ask a student to put their mask on, we're doing it for a reason. If we remove a desk from a classroom, we're doing it for a reason. Everything that we've done, we've done it for a reason. If we don't have an event, it's because we want to make sure that we keep everyone safe, and we try to continue to do that. And I think every time I see something new, I'm like, oh, maybe we should do that.
Yeah. Well, and that's exactly what I was going to say is, the weather's, we have 2 days of fall and then we go into winter here in West Virginia. And it is getting cooler out, and, we've got to adjust. So I am ordering outdoor heaters that'll go up on the deck and some to go out on the library plaza so we can still keep staying outside, because it's much safer to be outside. Sadly, I saw the other day that they're now saying that we should have a vaccine somewhere, in the next 3 months. But they're saying that the vaccine won't be as safe as continuing to wear the mask. So I think the masks are going to be a part of our daily life for a while to come. And that's okay. As long as we get to continue to be, I'll wear the mask.
So another question, I'll ask you and then part of you.
Okay.
So why was all the new outside furniture purchased, and what do the students think of it?
Okay, do you want me to take it first?
Sure.
Please
What do you
do.
think?
Oh.
The student, how are you feeling about the new furniture?
I love it. I love the lawn chairs on Don
Oh,
Lawn.
do you love those?
I
Oh,
really do.
yay.
I really do. I think it's really cool because that space, it's like a big lawn, and people would take like blankets out there sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
But like that's something inviting. Like if you just want to sit outside and relax in between a class or like eat outside.
So the question is, do you know there's a desk underneath the chair?
Really?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
So,
You're gonna have to take a picture of it.
so
and put it out
yes,
there.
it's underneath it. It slides out, and then it slide. They're Adirondack chairs, and then they slide
Oh.
onto it, so you can actually study. Apparently, I'm a nerd because I actually looked for chairs that you could utilize studying outside. But I'm so glad that you like them. I
Yeah.
really am. I think you said it was beginning to have a
Park feel, which is
No,
great.
and it's nice
Yeah.
because I mean, the campus is beautiful on its own, but I mean, being able to actually utilize it and like sit outside and hang out. I mean, like I have a hammock and I like to go out and like put it up sometimes.
We have hammocks too in our
Yes,
office.
Yes.
Students can come and get those, and we can, of course, once they get in, we'll sanitize them.
Yes.
And then they can go back out.
Yeah, but I think it's great that the campus is actually being utilized, and especially with COVID, it's amazing to be outside, be able to social distance, talk to your friends, buddies, and hang out. But yeah,
So what about
everybody
the
loves
patio
it.
furniture? Front on the deck and in the back with the library plaza, that's all new. What did you think
Yeah.
of that?
I think it's awesome, honestly. The library plaza was like a big barren place, kind of a little creepy. But I mean, with the
What?
furniture, it's definitely inviting. It's nice. The umbrellas are nice for pale folk like me. But I mean, not gonna lie. But no, it's awesome because it's giving people the opportunity to spread out, hang out, and eat their lunch in peace away from people.
Which is, yeah.
And so the reason it was purchased, a couple things. A lot of the furniture was repurposed. I have 9 brothers and sisters, and I'm the youngest of 7 girls, and that meant hand-me-downs,
Yeah.
and I hated hand-me-downs. My sister Janice, that's 3 years older than me, was the messy one, according to me. And so I would get things, and my mom used to always say, it doesn't matter what you wear as long as it's clean and pressed. And I realized later in life that that could apply to anything. It doesn't need to be brand new. It just needs to be well taken care of. And so we applied that premise here. The tables and chairs on the Chapel Plaza, all of the tables and chairs down at Donahue and on McHugh were faded, red, white, some were green. I'm not sure who purchased the green ones, but we pulled them and our maintenance guys painted them. So for, a couple gallons of paint and some umbrellas, we have new furniture. And I share that because some of it was purchased, some of it was repurposed. And that's important because it's about finding value in things and not, throwing things away. But the patio furniture on the deck was a credit that we had years ago. They bought furniture, they couldn't use it, so they returned it. And it was sitting there. And then when we went into COVID, I made the decision to finish the deck so that we could use it when you all came back. And we got that project done over the summer. But that furniture was part of that credit. But the furniture on the library plaza was a gift. And the library plaza was creepy. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
I was shocked at, and again, it was a little bit of hard work. Our maintenance guys power washed it, fixed it. I think you'll recall there were construction barrels,
For a
caution
while.
tape,
A hole in the
tarps.
ground.
Yeah.
Yes, for years.
Yeah.
So we repaired that, and then the president of our alumni council, Mr. Joe Munhall, Dr. Joe Munhall, and his family actually gifted the money for all of the furniture that now adorns our beautiful library plaza. Because again, the alumni love this place. They want your life and the life of our students today here, the years that you spend here, to be as special to all of you as it was to all of them. And I love that. I love, that. I love belonging to that. Even though I'm not an alumni, it's just being anywhere near it is such a joy. So I'm glad you're enjoying it.
Yes.
It is. It looks nice.
And those umbrellas are cardinal red.
Yes, they look good.
Yes.
And we continue to utilize that space. And I think for student activities, we've done things out on the lawn. We try to utilize that. And the Dawn lawn, as they, the cool kids say, which I'm not. It's okay. But utilize it because it is such an open space. There's a lot of stuff that you can do in there as long as there isn't that geese stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Which brings up a good
Trying
point.
with those geese.
Oh,
Honestly,
they've
they
been trying
hate me.
forever. Trust me.
So
Trust
everyone is
me.
aware, if you go out and you see these little pinwheels, those are not toys, and
They
those
are
are not
They are
decorations.
geese repellent.
Okay, yeah,
They
I've
are
been
geese
wondering what those
repellent.
are. I've been
I wanted to
wondering.
talk about that last week, and I forgot.
Really?
Because I wanted to say they aren't for show. They're really
Yes.
to ward off the geese. And
If-
then there's the scary dog up in by
Coyote?
the coyote.
Yes.
I was coming out by Wayland in my car, and I was like, "Oh my God, there's it like looks like it's like hunched over." And then I realized it was fake, so I calmed myself down. But
The two dogs.
that's like your mission.
It
is to
is.
get rid of the geese.
I'm offended that they do not understand my mission in trying to make this campus, a wonderful place for all of you. And trying to do it safely and humanely. There have been some suggestions that involved, I think I shared this, some of our students offered to have a shooting range
my
for the
gosh.
geese. I did not think that was very
No.
in keeping with our mission.
We got a lot of service dog. Lucy? Has Lucy gone out?
Lucy did, and my daughter did not find that very amusing because she was walking through goose.
Oh yeah, there's been a ton of different ways of people
Yeah.
going at it. At one point, I forget what year it was, but the security guards were driving around on campus with air horns, and they would just drive past them and.
Okay, so good news. I didn't know that. I have 3 air horns in my
Oh my
car.
goodness.
Randall will be sitting
It
and
was
I'm like,
very-
what
it
is
was-
happening?
It was
Would you like to
Now we
have
know.
one? I would love to gift them to all of you. You can go out and chase. You know what? I am a very driven person, and I will win. They will go somewhere else. I love the deer.
Oh, the
There's
deer
a
are so
family
sweet.
of deer that go
Yeah.
in Wayland. There's a mom and 2 little babies that are always over there.
Yeah.
But you're going to see, we're bringing some beautiful religious statues, a beautiful Our Lady of Guadalupe, St. Michael the Archangel, and a couple others that are going to be put out on campus, in addition to returning to St. Bernadette and the other. We're really trying to take better care of our campus. And I really don't want the geese to be a part of that. But the whirligigs, if you look at
The what?
the whirligigs,
Is that?
they spin. It's a word. Have you never been to the whirligig
Well, I've never
park
caught 'em-
in
I've
North
ne-
Carolina?
No.
There is actually a park
Yeah.
of
A
this.
whirly? Pin, that's what I call them.
So
Correct.
from up high, they shoot off light.
Oh.
And so the geese see them from a distance and keep on going. And that lasted about a week. So.
We need more.
Yeah. Well, now I've taken, if you not seen me out moving them at night, I pull them and move them. I love this place, I do, and I want it to be clean. They're beautiful animals, but they're not clean animals.
They're not welcomed here. Everyone else and everybody else and
After COVID,
after COVID is welcome, but not the geese.
Oh, they're
Yes.
mean.
yeah.
I got hissed
They don't
at so
move
many
either.
times. No, they're like, you're on my walkway
Yeah.
right now. I've been hissed at so many
Just
times.
waddling
They're
around.
not fun.
They don't they don't have a care in the world.
No, they don't care. So rude.
So any last thoughts that you'd like to share with us? How does the year end for you? How does this year end? I said to Chelsea Ward last year, at the beginning of the year, and obviously with
Oh,
COVID,
yes.
things really changed, but what do you want to leave this place with? When you leave and you look back 10 and 20 years from now, what do you want to say was your mark that you left on this university?
That's a tough question.
Think about it.
There's so much. I want to definitely help aid in getting this place back to where it should be and where it was. I want to really give all I can and make sure this place is a great place for everybody else in years to come. Yeah, I think that's the best I can say right now, because this place means a lot to me. Crazy 4 years it's given me, it still means a ton to me, and I want it to mean a great bit to other people that come here. Hopefully my little sister comes here and gets the same great experience, mostly great experience that I did, but I want to leave that for people in the future. I want to leave this place better than when I came.
That is a beautiful sentiment. That is. And we want to do what we can to help you be able to do that.
Yep, and we will continue to do everything that we can and keep working at it and getting rid of those geese.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's about it. I got a question.
Oh,
Will Thomas More ever be reopened?
It will be. It will be.
Oh.
Part of
I love Timor.
Yes.
why are we waiting until my senior year to do this? Why are we waiting until now?
We like that building. Malik's ready to move in right now. There's
Oh, I
nice
love that
layout.
building,
It's a
too.
nice building.
As I explained with the tables and chairs, I believe in utilizing creative, cost-effective ways of getting things done. And I am working on that. I've had some conversations recently. I come from a background with, I belong to an association called the Junior League Association, and its premise was to teach young women how to affect change in their communities. I'm still doing that, but what we learned to do is how to find resources in the community to accomplish projects. And I'm applying that same measure to Thomas More, in addition to our own ability to fund certain things. But it's a personal goal for myself, but it's also part of our strategic plan.
It is.
That we will fill all of those existing buildings without needing to build anything new, and live, at that status with what we guesstimate to be about 1,600 students. So, but you can come back.
Hopefully
We
my
always
sister
want
will come
active
here.
alumni
Yes, well, we want graduates
in
too.
graduate school.
Students,
Yes.
Yes. But we are going to wrap it up, and we appreciate you very much for coming and talking to us, and we are grateful for your leadership as a student government president, and hopefully the students continue to look at you for your leadership and your role model.
Yes.
All right.
So thanks.
Thank you for
Thanks
your